DeSantis administration directs Florida universities to terminate student chapters that support Hamas terrorism. Now, the first thing I thought when I saw this was this is a misplay. This is Ron going too far in the culture war, targeting free speech from students. I don't like that they support this stuff, but we want these far leftists to go out and talk about how they support Hamas. And then you actually read it. Ron DeSantis is correct in this regard. Mm-hmm. These individuals are not just speaking. Let me read this. The letter states the student group present in at least 2 universities in Florida, known as the National Students for Justice in Palestine, published a toolkit that refers to the Hamas operation as the resistance and says that Palestinian students in exile are part of this movement, not in solidarity with the movement. Quite literally, I believe that's a violation of federal law in providing material support to terrorist organizations. So in this capacity, it goes well beyond just speech. And it's difficult. I always try to be careful, and I would personally require a lot of evidence and adjudication on this. I don't want a governor or a president to be able to come out and be like, nope, you said you support terrorists, so we're shutting you down. Like, no. We'll bring it to court. You shouldn't be able to just do this. They should have filed something that they should have to respond to. There should be a due process here. The letter explains that it's a felony under Florida law to knowingly provide material support to a designated foreign terrorist organization. These chapters exist under the leadership of the National Students for Justice in Palestine, who distributed a toolkit identifying themselves as part of the Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. Based on the National JP's support of terrorism, in consultation with Governor DeSantis, the student chapter must be deactivated. These 2 student chapters may form another organization that complies with Florida state statutes and university policies. The 2 institutions should grant these 2 chapters a waiver for the fall deadlines should reapplication take place. Now, my question here is, if they genuinely believe these individuals are supporting terrorism, why would they be like, just refile? Wouldn't they be like, we are going to arrest and charge you for this?
Well, what people always forget now, especially, is that Hamas is a designated foreign terrorist organization. Mm-hmm. That has been the case for decades in Republican and Democratic administration. So that's leg one of this whole statute about, I used to prosecute guys for providing material support to terrorism. It can be arms, it can be money, it can be planning, it can be whatever, right? Conspiring with them to do bad stuff. So you have that piece of the puzzle. Are they a designated foreign terrorist organization? But here's the thing. That's not Florida law. It's federal law, right? So anything in Florida that speaks to that is superseded by federal law and material support statutes. So you're right. I agree that if they're providing money to a foreign terrorist organization, it's material support.
What if they claim to be and are providing labor?
Well, then you have to go to court and prove that you're providing labor that is not attributed to terrorist activity, right? I'm saving babies in, wherever and providing food to the homeless or something like that. So we get into this problem when we have all these humanitarian refugee camps, right? Like across Syria, and all of these donors want to give money, and you're like, well, we're giving it to all these people and known foreign terrorists who are in the camps that run the camp. How are we going to, what are we going to do with that? Yeah. That's been an ongoing issue for a long time.
What do you think of Tom Cotton? He wrote that letter to Mayorkas saying we need to expel foreign nationals who violate federal law by espousing support for Hamas because you're barred from espousing.
It's the law. Like, this DOJ won't actually do it because it's the DOJ along with the State Department has to get together to make that, ejection possible. But what he's saying, I think you have to break it down a little further than just expel everyone. If you are affiliated with a known foreign terrorist organization, Hamas, in America, and you are supporting them, in the very least, you should be kicked out of the country and more likely prosecuted. What normally happens is you get prosecuted, then you get stripped of your citizenship or residency status, then you get the boot.
Do you think any of this is likely to happen, though?
No, not in this administration.
That's what I find to be the craziest thing. There's going to be all of this fury, and the progressives themselves are divided over the issue, but nothing will happen from the Biden administration.
Not in this one.
And stuff like this is going to become more common in the internet age as these people are able to coordinate more freely, I assume.
Well, look, so the difference between Al-Qaeda and ISIS, the main difference, right? Al-Qaeda, they brought yourself and your team to wherever mountain region they were to train you up, kit you out, and send you back out to do your thing. ISIS just did it online. That was their deal. Wow. That was their whole recruitment platform. You don't need to come to, Afghanistan or Pakistan. Click here and donate. Click here and learn how to fire an AK-47. And then eventually maybe you'll come down range and go to one of our camps. So that's already happening. And our problem has been it's a free speech thing. What if these guys are in these chat groups or in these, pro-ISIS organization chapters and they're saying, well, I just support what they say. I don't support what they do. It's hard to prosecute that. It's hard to make that call.
And it's hard, I think, for a lot of like the free speech Americans who do believe in that, like, especially because a lot of them were younger, right? Yeah. A lot of those ISIS, those kids who got involved with ISIS was like in Minneapolis, or whatever. Like they were like barely out of their teens.
I mean,
right?
a lot of one of the arguments I hear all the time is that, especially with the first generation Americans whose parents are, of one culture and you're kind of torn between the two, they look for identity online and become radicalized, and so that's a very difficult and sad story to peddle. On the other hand, ultimately, if the conclusion is radicalization, you have to treat that really seriously.
Yeah, it's not fun. I waded through a lot of those cases. But people always forget. You're like, we focus on designated foreign terrorist organizations, right? Because that's the federal law material hook for material support. And it's not like we're just going after the KKK, right? Like, obviously, I hate those guys, but most of what they say is protected free speech. Their right to even organize and convene together is protected on their constitution. That's the way it should be, right? But there's a separation between what the KKK does and what ISIS and Al-Qaeda and Hamas and all these other Hezbollah, all these organizations do. You're talking about people who have done so much destruction to American and American allies that the U.S. government was like, you're on the list for life. Yeah. That's it. There's like almost no getting off of it.
Yeah. I wonder what you think of the organizations that are saying, they won't hire these students from Harvard. I think Larry Hogan just did that.
Yeah.
Because some people say you shouldn't cancel them. You shouldn't talk. Like, there is an argument that that's not fair. On the other hand, like, if you're hiring someone and they advocate for, terrorist organizations that we have recognized since 1997, that's pretty serious.
Well, first of all these institutions are private. They can do whatever the hell they want. They can hire whoever they want. They can come out and say, we don't want Harvard guys who had done X, Y, or Z. They could have done that.
So is it different when Larry Hogan says he won't hire from Harvard?
Well, if he's saying that, he's not governor anymore, so I don't know where he's hiring these people. But if he's hiring them for government jobs somewhere, then that's going to be an issue. Mm-hmm. But if like, say, JP Morgan, right, the world's largest bank, is like, yeah, we're not taking anybody from Harvard because of this nonsense. Okay. What are they going to do? It's totally within their right to say that. Yeah. We're going to hire murderers.
Do you think it will change how academia
no, those guys are too far
I mean,
gone.
that's what I always think, that they're sort of lost institutions. So
yeah, but a lot of these students started writing letters being like, no, we're so sorry, we didn't know. And then you got people coming up being like, these students really didn't know it was in the letter. We should be nice to them. A lot of these students are marching. They've not changed their mind.
These students go to Harvard. They're not stupid. They can read.
They are.
Harvard.
That would be right. That would be their knee-jerk argument. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm a brilliant person.
Isn't that a worse indictment that like you go to Harvard but you didn't read this thing you were signing? Like that might be. It's like I'm not hiring you because you said you support Hamas. I'm not hiring you because
it's not that.
You didn't read the damn paper, right? Oh, man. Like how
you're lying that you did read it and now you're trying to be like, oh no, I misunderstood.
Either way, all of those are very bad.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah.
It's just gonna get worse. I think it's all connected. Like those institutions, like Harvard, whatever, any Ivy League school, is connected to this entire pipeline movement that we've been talking about. When these people flip, when these people write books, when they go on TV, when who's the person that just got kicked out of somewhere and is now like the professor at Princeton or Yale. This just happened this week. I'll think of it. Anyway, you get rewarded. Yeah. They're part of the reward system. Yeah. We're going to make you president of this institute. We're going to give you a huge contract.
What's funny about this, there's a voice actress named Tara Strong, and she's the voice of like Timmy Turner and Batgirl, Harley Quinn. So a lot of people who are familiar with like DC Comics and cartoons have heard her voice. She was on Drawn Together on Comedy Central. She got fired from a show because she was tweeting in support of Israel. So the show abruptly tweeted out that she would no longer be voicing one of their characters. And then she starts losing it like, I'm finding out from the internet, I'm being fired for being Jewish, things like this. But what I find fascinating about many of these people, Tara Strong has me blocked, right? Because she's one of these woke leftists. And despite the fact that we always calmly and rationally tried to explain to them that the BLM and the far left want the eradication of Israel, they plug their ears and say, you're far right, blah, blah, blah. And then the reckoning comes for them. As we've been warning about for so long, these people who think that they can keep their head down and just side with the left will be left alone. That's not true. She gets fired because of this. Well,
Unless you have no opinions whatsoever. Like literally you would have to have no opinions whatsoever because eventually
No, but then they ask you,
something
you're staying quiet on
yeah.
this issue. You're staying quiet on this issue. Why do you comment on it?
that's what happened to Vivek Ramaswamy.
Exactly.
So they kept demanding he keeps speaking up, and he was like, I did. And they're like, more. And he's like, I've had it.
This has been like the number because we've just been talking a lot because every one of all these celebrities have something to say about what's going on right now. I'm like, you're not involved in this. Like, you don't need to have an opinion on this stuff. It doesn't benefit.
It's all of their publicists that have something to say, who are saying you really, really need to tweet about this.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.